This is CBC Vancouver News.
We were turning away an average of about 6 people per night because we just did not have any space.
Tonight on CBC Vancouver News, advocates heartbroken as plunging temperatures lead to more desperation for shelters. Also,
love work! Love work!
drag queen story time, singing songs and sharing stories while drowning out the protests. Also, another BC festival gone, economic obstacles creating barriers too high to climb, according to organizers. Good evening, I'm Zahra Premji. Thanks for joining us. Leanne is away tonight. As you may have felt, an Arctic air mass has settled over much of the province, with high winds and snow expected to bring unseasonably cold temperatures to regions across the province. As Janella Hamilton reports, it may be welcome news for West Coast mountains, but advocates say it could mean life or death for people who are living on the streets.
Every number is a person, and every person is a life that is valuable and has dignity.
The last homeless count in 2020 found more than 3,000 people are experiencing homelessness in Metro Vancouver, but advocates say shelter spaces are limited.
All of last year in 2022, we were turning away an average of about 6 people per night because we just did not have any space, and that's the most heartbreaking kind of conversation.
This is one of our shelter spaces. We have 92 beds in total.
Anecdotally, she says the issue of homelessness has been getting worse, and the concern is multiplied when the temperature drops.
They're coming in oftentimes in crisis mode because they might have been outside for a few nights already and they can't take it anymore.
The City of Vancouver is partnering with organizations throughout the community to provide 7 overnight warming centers and 5 emergency weather centers like the one here at Directions Youth Services. They say Directions is the only youth-specific shelter in Metro Vancouver, with people as young as 13 relying on their services.
A lot of the times they'll come to us after being exploited either criminally or sexually at adult services, and so it's incredibly important for us to be operating a safe space.
They won't be the only ones opening emergency weather spaces. Burnaby and Squamish are also opening their doors. While the struggles are apparent for many during the cold snap, plummeting temperatures can be a positive change for those who rely on snow for their businesses.
Snowmaking is a huge part of our footprint up here. It's very, I don't want to say it's necessary, but it definitely helps.
And with how unpredictable January weather usually is, this skier says any extra snow is welcome.
I think people are going to enjoy the mountain way more. They're not going to be like stuck in the ice, even though it's not, the fresh powder from the sky. It's still snow to ski on.
In Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley, Environment Canada says temperatures will drop 5 degrees below seasonal Saturday night and continue into Monday. And in southeastern BC, an extreme warning has been issued with the possibility of strong wind gusts, making it feel more like -35 overnight. Things are expected to return to normal by this time next week, which for the lower mainland in February means more rain. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
A Vancouver mother is demanding answers after her 12-year-old autistic son was handcuffed by transit police at the SkyTrain and then recuffed a second time at BC Children's Hospital. As the CBC's Yasmin Gandam explains, disability advocates say there are other ways to de-escalate a situation like this. And a warning, this story contains some distressing details.
The mother of an Indigenous boy who was handcuffed at the hospital says she feels it should have been a safe place for him. Instead, she feels her 12-year-old son was treated like an adult when he was pinned to the floor. In a video posted to social media, one of the officers is seen putting his knee on her son's back. She says she needed help with her son earlier at a SkyTrain station because he was pushing. 2 officers then brought him back to Children's Hospital for assessment under the Mental Health Act. In a statement to CBC, Transit Police says officers attempted to verbally de-escalate the situation, but the youth began trying to push their mother toward the tracks, causing an even greater concern for her safety. Officers say the mother had minor injuries, including a bloody face, and the boy allegedly assaulted the SkyTrain attendant when they tried to intervene. Officers then used handcuffs to restrain the boy on the way to the hospital, which they later removed before the incident recorded on video. But a disability advocate says there are other techniques that can be used to de-escalate situations like this.
So in that way, the hospital staff, the nurses or police could have just helped keep the area clear versus try to restrain the child in the room.
She adds support is crucial among autistic children, and she wishes it was handled differently.
That child was able to calm down. They were not a threat. They just needed the support that they did. That was not the best way to get there, and there's so many better ways to get there.
The hospital says it has started a health and safety review into what happened, and its Indigenous health team has reached out to the boy's family to offer support. Yasmin Gandham, CBC News, Vancouver.
More than 150 people gathered in Nanaimo today calling for enhanced public safety measures. The frustration among the rally speakers clear.
In the last 60 days alone, I've had 2 break-ins, 3 vehicle break-ins, 2 shoplifting events, 2 store windows being broken, plus plenty of garbage that I had to pick up. It makes it very hard to stay and want to be in business.
And I got to tell you, I'm shocked at the state of Nanaimo. The people in the street are not getting the help that they need. And in turn, every year, it gets worse.
Numerous speakers suggested crime is on the rise and called on all levels of government to take action. Among the attendees were 2 city councillors and Nanaimo's mayor, who repeated a call he's made before.
Called upon the provincial government to do over and over again is to recognize the seriousness of those suffering with addiction and brain injury and trauma and mental health issues and provide the secure and voluntary care that they need. For others, it is a question of supportive housing and the kind of assistance to allow them to deal with their issues.
The rally was the second one organized in the city in recent months. The last was held on the lawn of the Nanaimo courthouse back in September. Those at the rally today say their belief in the system is wearing thin. To Kelowna now, where hundreds of people came out to rally in support of a drag queen storytime event being held at the local library. They faced off against a few dozen people protesting the event. The CBC's Brady Strachan has that story.
Love wins! Love wins!
The vast majority came out both loud and proud in their support of the drag queen story reading in an attempt to drown out the voices of those opposed.
You guys are sick, you need help!
This culture clash took over the usually calm library courtyard. The dramatic uproar did not keep parents and children away, however.
It's just like a fun time with a character that's telling a story and is really interesting for the kids. So when I told my son that we were coming back, he was just really excited. And he knows nothing about what's going on, right? He just wants to hear the story.
Families and supporters filled the library's storytime area.
It's my new favorite story.
To watch drag queen Frida Wales read stories and sing songs as part of the library's monthly community reader program.
We support diversity and inclusion, but we also really support neutrality and a lack of censorship. So that's one of the points why it doesn't bother me that there are people in opposition to drag story time, is that we don't censor views one way or the other.
For her part, Frida Wales, performed by Tyson Cook, believes the positivity around the event far outweighed the negative views.
Yeah, it was definitely hard coming out of the parkade and not getting emotional, because it was I was literally like a celebrity walking in, cheering, and everyone was cheering for me. It was amazing to see.
As the clash of ideas continued outside, inside, parents and children lined up to meet today's storyteller and share their appreciation of the event.
I think it's good to expose kids to all different ways of life and fun ways of being and just enjoying yourself.
And for this family, at least, there's hope of a repeat performance.
Absolutely. Are we coming again? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna.
Now, people living in Elkford and the Kootenays have been without emergency services for the past 16 months. It is a temporary closure on the southeast region of our province that has dragged on longer than initially expected. Elkford's ER is one of more than a dozen in BC that have seen closures in recent years. And the community's mayor says he's frustrated because the closest emergency room is at least 25 minutes away and it's closed on evenings and weekends. The other option, an hour drive to Fernie. Elkford Mayor Steve Fairbairn says this might drive people out of Elkford.
It's a major consideration for families and young people when they're looking for a place to move. We have relatively affordable housing. However, if there's no emergency services, if we don't actually have a doctor assigned to town, so I, for example, don't have a family doctor. If you've got children or you're expecting a family doctor, you move to Elkford, you're not going to get those. So it's a strong disincentive for people to move to Elkford.
Interior Health says it plans to hire 4 doctors to fill 2 full-time positions in Elkford at the end of July, but it could be a year or more before emergency services are fully restored. 129 neglected cattle have been seized by BC SPCA animal protection officers. This is after they were housed in what they're calling substandard conditions in the Okanagan.
It's bad enough these animals are giving their all for us, but to treat them this way towards the end of their life is just inexcusable. And as you can tell by the photographs, the conditions were horrific for them to be living like that.
The animals were found on 2 separate properties in Cawston. They did not have access to shelter, were kept in pens filled with mud and manure, and suffered from various medical issues. A number of cow carcasses were also found on the property, and of the rescued cows, some had to be euthanized due to their critical health conditions. Well, bad news for country music fans. The Rock and River Country Music Festival in Merritt is joining the list of events not returning in 2023 due to financial obstacles.
We did everything that we could, but, at some point you have to kind of pull the pin and say, you can't continue,
Organizers say other roadblocks played a part in the shutdown as well, like the pandemic and the 2021 floods in Merritt that destroyed festival campgrounds. This news comes as the Vancouver Folk Music Festival is also facing a shutdown due to lack of financial support. Rock and River started in 2008, and organizers hope to bring it back next year. Well, tributes and stories are pouring in again for Gino Ojic tonight as friends and family gathered earlier for a private funeral. The former Vancouver Canuck died earlier this month after a long battle with a rare terminal illness. He was laid to rest today in Kitigan-Zibi Anishinaabe First Nation near Quebec. Ojic was a champion for Indigenous youth and took great pride in his heritage, using the number 29 throughout his hockey career because it was his father's identification number from residential school. Well, here's another reason to make sure your watch is set and working. Scientists are trying to define time on the moon.
There's going to be, over the next couple of decades, we know, many missions that are going to be going to the lunar orbit and to the lunar surface, we expect. And we need to be able to coordinate between these, and we need to make sure that we're not running into problems with, not using consistent metrics between each other.
Defining lunar time will involve installing at least 3 master clocks that tick at the moon's natural pace, which is slightly faster than time on Earth because the moon has weaker gravity. The clock's combined output could then be synchronized to Earth time.
Much like with the trains of old and the train system of old, we need a consistent way of measuring time and of doing business generally that all nations can agree on.
Currently, each mission has used its own time scale. It will also allow the creation of a lunar satellite navigation system similar to GPS on Earth. Well, it's been an exciting few days for us over here. We've officially launched our new bureau in the Harbor City. Today, we had our current affairs weekend show, North by Northwest, air from Nanaimo. Joining in and introducing our new video journalist, Claire Palmer, who's been busy connecting with people in her new community. Take a look.
I'm Claire Palmer. I'm CBC's new video journalist based in Nanaimo. I've just moved from Golden, BC, and I've had a blast getting to know the community. Video producer Mike Zimmer and I spent the last couple days driving around Nanaimo, speaking with locals, learning about the community, and learning all about the history.
Good?
Yeah, let's go meet the mayor. So as someone who's new to Nanaimo, what do I need to know about the community here?
You need to know it's proud of its history. It's a beautiful spot. It's a sports town. It's an active community, and it's a diverse community. We are one of the 5 fastest growing regions in the country, and that has implications for housing costs. More than half the population of Ankron lives north of the Malahat now. And Nanaimo is the gateway, the hub, the center. Anyway, you're going to love it. I mean, you know, look,
yeah, it's
what's
been
not
great
to
so
love?
far.
So where are we off to next?
We're headed to the Nanaimo Museum just to learn a bit about Nanaimo's interesting history. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Claire, CBC.
I'm Sophia. I'm the manager of the Nanaimo Museum.
Perfect. I'm really excited to learn a bit about Nanaimo's history. Why don't you show me around?
Awesome. Well, welcome. Let's go. So first of all, we need to acknowledge that the Nanaimo Museum is situated on the territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. We work closely with Snuneymuxw First Nation on our exhibits and the items and stories that we tell. This exhibit here is one of my favorites, and it shows what life was like inside a longhouse. This spot here is very significant. Downtown Nanaimo was the site of a very significant village.
So bathtub racing is something I've heard a lot about since I've moved to Nanaimo.
Yes, Nanaimo is very well known for the famous bathtub races. And the original bathtub races were fun and silly, but over the years it has evolved into a really intricate and well-attended sport. So no visit to the Nanaimo Museum would be complete without discussing the world-famous, legendary Nanaimo Bar.
Been looking forward to this part.
Right. So the Nanaimo Bar is a legend. There are many debates around the appropriate custard to base ratio. We actually have here the ultimate Nanaimo bar recipe. So this recipe was submitted by Joyce Hardcastle in Expo 86 to a competition, and this was the winning recipe. And I have to say, it is absolutely delicious.
And where's your favorite place to get a Nanaimo bar?
My favorite place to get a Nanaimo bar is right next door at Serious Coffee. It's attached to the museum, and they do a mean Nanaimo bar.
Now where are we going?
Let's head to Departure Beach Bay and talk to some locals.
Okay.
I'm new to Nanaimo. What would be your top tips for somebody who's new? What advice would you give?
Well, the waterfront is beautiful.
Nanaimo is a great community.
We're pretty friendly all in all. Everybody cares for each other. Yeah, people are very friendly here. We love the place.
It's been great getting to meet the locals and residents. It's clear this is a really special community to many. I've had a blast exploring the area, and I can't wait to continue to highlight Nanaimo on CBC. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo. Was that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Awesome.
Video of Tyree Nichols' death released and the special police unit involved in the incident disbanded. More on that and the uproar in Memphis after the break. The special police unit involved in the death of Tyree Nichols in Memphis has been disbanded. The police chief said she made the decision after discussions with community leaders and Nichols' relatives. And she says the members of the unit itself agreed without reservation. Last night, video of the incident was released, prompting more anger. The CBC's Chris Reyes reports.
What's his name? Tyree! Say his name! Tyree!
Supporters of Tyree Nichols hit the streets across the country: New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and in Memphis. It happened soon after the Memphis Police Department released 4 separate videos on Friday night, capturing in horrific detail the arrest and then vicious beating of Nichols on January 7 at the hands of 5 police officers. Those officers have now been fired. They're facing criminal charges, including second-degree murder.
It's hard as an American, as a citizen of the world, to look at this and not be absolutely appalled.
It's still unclear in the video what prompted police to stop Nichols in the first place. In the first moments of the encounter, even as Nichols appears to be following police orders, he's tased. An emotional reaction from the daughter of Rodney King, who was brutally beaten by police. The release of that video and the acquittal of police officers involved prompted the 1992 LA riots.
I'm past angry. I'm past upset. I'm past bothered. I'm sick. My stomach hurts watching that.
To jerk a man out of a car for no reason at all and commence to just giving him the beating of his life, it's like there's something else maybe lurking.
While most of Friday night's protests remained peaceful, in New York City, demonstrators clashed with police. Several people were arrested after one person stomped on an NYPD car, shattering the windshield. The release of the Nichols video has renewed calls for police reform across the U.S.
We still have these rogue task force that are targeting Black citizens in lower income neighborhoods, and that's the big issue.
The definition, the defining issue in the 21st century is going to be policing and voting.
Veteran civil rights activist Al Sharpton will deliver the eulogy at Nichols' funeral on Wednesday in Mississippi. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
3 people are dead after yet another mass shooting in California. It happened overnight in Los Angeles at a short-term rental. The 3 people killed were found in a car outside. 4 others were taken to hospital, 2 of them in critical condition. All right, well, this is a time-lapse of today's gorgeous weather from the top of Mount Seymour. I know you're waiting for it, so I'm going to bring you your full forecast coming up next. Well, I like it, but do you like it? Yes, I'm talking about cold weather. There's a lot of it right now. I'm sure you felt it, and the big question on everyone's mind, or maybe just mine, is what's the weather? So let's take a look at what's happening in the world of weather right now. We've got a special weather statement. Yes, it is still there. 5 to 20 degrees colder than normal, as you can see up there on the screen. It is going to be chilly this coming week, so you know what? Bundle up. Let's take a look at what's happening with current temperatures out there right now. West Vancouver, 1 degree. Vancouver International Airport, also 1 degree. It's looking a bit more balmy in Victoria at the airport, where it's sitting at 3 degrees. So yes, stay warm out there. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, it looks like it's going to be a little bit sunny at least, but -1 in Dees Lake. Prince George, it's looking like 3 degrees, and -4 over in Cranbrook. Taking a look at our 5-day forecast now, 2 degrees tomorrow, but still sunny. Monday, a mix of sun and clouds. Tuesday, a mix of those flurries coming in. Wednesday, it's just rain. Thursday, some more rain. And you know what? It looks like it's going to get a little warmer after that, so you may be able to take the socks off. Okay, maybe only just one layer of your socks, so it is still a bit cold out there. So clearly the warning is bundle up tonight and for the next few days before even thinking about that beach weather. I'm not giving you that yet. But with that, I say a warm good night to you. But before you let the head hit the pillow, the cozy, warm one, don't forget to check out our headline, cbc.ca/BC. Good night.